Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're listening to us from. Welcome back to 1911 with Chris, and Ewan. How are we, gents? It's been a while. We must apologise. Whose fault's that, I wonder?
It's that
I'm,
guy.
I'm
It's
not.
that guy up there.
I'm going to blame Andy on this one. Yeah, we've had quite a busy month, haven't we? Even though we've missed a lot, and we have missed a lot. There's been a lot to talk about this last month. I've been away wedding duties in Crete, and work has been pretty crazy, and we just haven't been able to catch up with each other. But obviously today we're going to talk a little bit about what's happened in September, um, and what's happening with City as well. Really.
Happy days. Yeah, so let's jump straight in. Let's leave it to no further ado. So, September. I wanted I thought a 6 point return out of September's fixtures would have been adequate. I'd have been more than happy with that. We went one better, surpassed it. 9 out of 12 points taken. A hell of an income of points is that. When you look at the teams we've played, I mean, who did we have? We had Cardiff, Newcastle in Cup, Blackpool. We had
Doncaster.
Donny and Huddersfield. What a September to only get beat once, and we had a really bad off day against Donny, but to get wins against Cardiff and Huddersfield, and comfortable wins at that, it's impressive, right?
Yeah, definitely. And don't discount the Blackpool match from that either, because they're a tough side. You know, they shouldn't be down there in the bottom half. They were a tough opponent as well. And again, you talk about off days. We did have a bit of an off day with the Blackpool match, but we still got the 3 points. It's a sign of a good team, that. So I think everyone would have snapped your hand off for 9 points out of 12. It's frustrating, obviously, to lose that Donny match in the manner that we did, especially with the bit of the grudge that's going on with Donny at the moment between our fans. But yeah, it was all important to win, obviously, the Yorkshire Derby against Huddersfield, and then to beat Cardiff as well was just the icing on the cake, really, I think.
I mean, look at Donny. The beaters, they haven't won since.
Yeah, and you've got obviously Jordan Gibson was giving it the old Mick Tekin again, and ever since then they've really struggled. Which obviously I quite enjoy that. Quite enjoy Jordan having a bit of a stinker. Yeah, I think I think moving on. Obviously, the Cardiff game was pretty incredible. I was a best man, and I was at the side of the aisle, literally sneakily looking at my phone to see the score, and I'm seeing it 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. And it was just amazing to see what a performance. I've watched literally everything I could do about that game, and the performance that we put in as well. You know, at the end of the day, it could have been a lot more. We could have scored more goals than we did.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I'll let Andy lead this, because obviously you were actually there. Well, I'll let you have this one for once. You actually went to a
oh,
match.
I know. I actually turned up, but I'm not an armchair fan anymore. No, I went down and mentioned it a few times. Ian, my mate, he came down with me. It was his first ever Bradford game. In fact, we were going to get him on this, but stars didn't align, so we didn't get on, so he definitely is not coming on. He loved it. What a first game for him to be introduced to Bradford City. Um, we played with such confidence and such vigor going forward. It were unbelievable. I mean, I don't know what we're expecting from Cardiff, but they just didn't. They had a lot of possession, but they didn't have any idea of what to do with the possession. They were just passing it sideways, and there were no impetus going forward at all. And we were more than good value for that win. And that away end were incredible.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. On watching on TV, it looked like one of the best away ends that we'd had in a long time. You know, for a ground that big as well, to be only able to hear City fans is really impressive. But with the Cardiff performance from their point of view, I think you don't give us enough credit probably for the way we like to disrupt these teams that do want to pass it on the floor and play through us. We do a really good job, I think, of disrupting them. It happened in the Huddersfield game as well, where they wanted to get the ball down, and we just pinned them in completely. We picked them apart. and the Cardiff game is another example of that. Even more so because we were able to play through them with ease. Sarcevic missed a brilliant, almost open net header in the first half, but it was just one pass down the line through midfield and defence that got pointing in behind. Poor performance from Cardiff, but we do cut through teams when we're at it.
It were boys versus men, to be honest. Like in literal terms as
Sure.
well. Like we've got one of the highest average ages of squad. They've got one of the lowest ages of squad in league, and it was noticeable. Like they had energy, but they just didn't have the nous to stay on board with us. And it were a strange game. I was expecting more from them.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose obviously the drama coming into the game was about obviously both teams joint top of the table. What will City offer against a Cardiff team who hadn't conceded from open play yet before the
Yeah, that's
game?
right.
Yeah, and we put three past them comfortably as well. I think the most impressive thing for me is the attitude. I want to come on to it later when we talk about the Rotherham game, but especially against the big teams, we don't give them any respect at all. We really get at teams. We fight tooth and nail for everything. And the men against boys analogy, I think, is really good because we don't half throw ourselves about. And if there's a 50-50 going in, we do throw ourselves in and we make other teams pull out of those challenges. I think it's really refreshing to see. Best part for me, though, was after half time, not sitting on our laurels, going out there, kill the game off for the third goal, and a really, really good goal as well. Beautiful counter attack.
Yeah. There was just some great football being played, full stop. The goals were incredible. It was the most stonewall penalty I've ever seen in my life. One of my mates that I play football with, he's a Cardiff fan. He tried to like play it down that it wasn't a penalty. I was like, what game were you watching? We were in the same stadium, mate. But ayo, it's a good win. It's a good win, and then we moved on to Newcastle.
Yeah, speaking of good football, we were treated to some very, very strong football from Newcastle, who rolled out with the big lads, didn't they?
Oh God, yeah. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Like, I mean, Eddie Howe actually rested players in the Prem to play against us. Like we came up against the Champions League quality side, and you could tell that they were as well. The way they played through our midfield, it was like just Moses spreading the waves. Like it was just incredible to watch. But you got to give a big up to Andy Cook.
Yeah,
That goal.
absolutely. Yeah, and I'm absolutely buzzing for him as well. And I nearly missed it. I mean, I think that I'd looked away from the TV screen for a second, and then the next thing it's gone in the net. My brain is definitely telling me it wasn't handball. Whether I believe that or not, I'm not sure. But my brain's telling me it wasn't a handball. Obviously, you were at that game, so you saw that goal. How was it in the stands at that time?
Yeah, I mean there was definitely a party atmosphere, obviously, right the way throughout the game. I was sat sort of in the corner in sort of the second allocation that we had. I didn't have enough City points. Just disgraceful. Really disappointed. My section was a little quieter, I think, than the in the centre where all the big fans were. But yeah, just to see him get that goal was everything. I think if we had come away losing 4-0 or it was 3-0 at the time that we scored, it would have been disappointing because obviously you want something to cheer when you go to an away ground. I always say when I go on an away day, I just want to see us score a meaningful goal. And that's my bar. If we don't score a meaningful goal, I'm disappointed. But yeah, everyone's over the moon for him. The Newcastle fans came out afterwards and said, "Oh, we didn't actually know the story, of obviously being out with a horrific ACL injury since January, coming back into the team, lifelong Mag supporter. It was a big moment for him, and you could tell by the players' reactions on the pitch as well, our players, how much it meant to him. And we haven't even talked about what a cracking goal it was as well. To take that on, on the knee and then smash it against the crossbar. I mean, if Ramsdale was going to lose his clean sheet on his first start for Newcastle, that was a worthy goal to concede.
Oh, Alan Shearer-esque, wasn't it? It felt like Shearer. It did feel like a Shearer type goal. Hell of a goal, and it's like you say, it is. We got a meaningful goal, but that first half, yeah, we were blown away. But I don't know whether it were a case of they've taken foot off at gas or whatever. But I thought the second half we matched them pretty well. In fairness, they weren't overly outclassing us.
Yeah, I think we tightened up quite a bit in midfield, especially. That was the big issue because they were just scything through us. But yeah, I mean, the last two goals we conceded were a little bit poor, I think. Was it Joe Linton who scored the third, who was in oceans of space? He's got the whole freedom of St James's Park to score there. And the fourth one comes right the way across the box, and Tyreek Wright doesn't really do enough to hack it away. But you can't fault the players at all for the effort that they showed, because like you say, we were more than in it in the second half, and we should be proud, especially because most recently in the Champions League, Newcastle went away to Union Saint-Gilloise and put 4 past them, and we got 4-1. So I think, I think we need to be in the Champions League next season.
Bring it on.
Bring it on.
To be honest with this Bradford City team, is anything honestly out the question? Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm talking about. I think about, even if you look back in the first 10, 15 minutes or so, I felt that there was a couple of opportunities that we had that we were breaking quite quickly as well. Like we do. Like, I mean, that is one thing that we are very good at this season, and we were breaking quite quickly against them. Obviously, then the quality showed. Gordon was unbelievable for me. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. I know that the fans for them are not overly convinced by Elanga yet, but I thought Elanga had a great game. But it just showed the golfing quality. But it was something at the end of the day, I was really proud of the team, the effort, everything about it. The fans as well were absolutely brilliant. So I think all in all, we will take that and be quite happy. I mean, at one point I did wonder whether it was going to be 3-2. So we'll take that, and we've learned lessons, I think, and I hope we've learned some lessons from that, and long may it continue.
Do you think that it's knackered us a bit though, going into Blackpool game? Because I don't know about you, we got win against Blackpool, which is great, but we didn't look good. We didn't play well. The boys looked tired and leggy for me all game.
Yeah, something again that we're going to talk about with the Rotherham game. We struggle when teams want to play like us. Low possession football, we're going to hit you on the counter as fast as we can. And that's exactly what Blackpool came to do. There's the first match this season, the Blackpool game, where we had more than, I think, 55% possession. And at times we don't know what to do with the ball because we've got too much of it. And I think that was a big problem in the first half against Blackpool. We had too much of the ball and we didn't really know how to use it very well. Whereas they were just hitting us on the counter over and over again. On a different day, if they had their shooting boots on, they could have been out of sight at half time because they were really quick on the break. Their forward line, really physical, really fast as well, caused us a lot of issues.
Is that down to the like you say, of Blackpool wanting to play the same sort of way that we play and are struggling against that? Or is it a hangover from Newcastle as well that's stuck into it?
I don't know if it was necessarily a hangover, to be honest with you. I thought Blackpool were quite they're very defensive minded, to be honest with you. I felt that they stayed back quite a lot. They wouldn't really give us that much time and space in that first half, which I think we really struggled with. And I don't think there's many teams that we've played this season, if any, that have really done that. Eventually, obviously, we did break them down, but I don't know if I necessarily think it was a hangover from Newcastle. I think it was just a team playing a different style of football against us. And again, a team who should, as Ewan said earlier on, should be a lot further up this table with the amount of money that they've spent this summer. We were playing against some quality players. Eventually, obviously, we did ground them down, but I'm not too sure. I think at the end of the day, for me, if you're not playing great but you're getting that 3 points at home, that's a massive, that's a massive positive for the rest of the season for me. And And to be honest with you, we deserve to be where we are currently. There's no questions at all from me at all, or to say, are we in a false position? I don't believe so at all. I think we are. So I think, yeah, I think going back, I think New Blackpool just played a very different defensive style for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. And just going back to your point about getting the 3 points, good teams win ugly. And good teams win when they don't play well, because we didn't play well. We were really poor in that first half. Like I say, maybe just had too much of the ball and didn't know how to break them down. But in the second half, I think after we scored, they barely had a chance. I think there's one that Neil Burns done really well to head over his own bar. But apart from that, there was nothing that really screamed that we were going to throw it away. We didn't offer too much, but we didn't need to almost, because the damage was almost done. We got control of the game, and then from there we had that. Yeah, really really good to see that we can win like that, because it's going to be crucial later on in the season to be able to grind out these points if we want to go the distance.
Yeah, yeah, and I get that. It's just it when you look at a team that's at the bottom and or towards that end of the table, you expect us to be doing a bit better, maybe having a bit that sort of like killer edge to be able to destroy them rather than grind out the win.
Yeah, but I think going back on that, I think that what we have done really well this season is that teams who and we've already mentioned this, is teams who want to play football against us, bar Newcastle. We do play really well against, and we seem to really thrive on that. And when we're playing teams that are a little bit lower down the league, they are going to be a little bit more defensive, and they are going to be probably a bit more nervous about playing us, especially with our form and their form. So I think that, to be honest with you, I think that is where there's a slight problem at the moment, and I feel really harsh saying that. We're currently top of the table, but I do feel that teams that are lower down, it's just that they are really, really, they're defending for their lives. They're not prepared to take us on because they know that they're probably not going to win. And that's why when teams are coming and playing with football or trying to play football, we're demolishing them. If to be honest with you, that's absolutely fair. We're demolishing those teams, and I think Blackpool probably, because of the position, even though they have got the team that they have, I think they were very nervous about coming to Valley Parade and had to think about how do we stop Bradford City playing.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So let's move on then. So last night we got given a bit of a reprieve, I think is safe to say last night. Let's start of the week. So Cardiff lost to Burton. They had a chance to knock us off top spot. So we remained there, and we come up to last night, sorry. And I'm going to be a bit Jekyll and Hyde, right? No, because all season long, all I've professed about is, you a point away, um, on the road and winning your own games. It's a sign of a promotion winning side. I'm the one that's always that from the start has said, look, I think we're going to be there or thereabouts.
Oh, you had to throw that one in, didn't you, Ewan?
Well, are we there or thereabouts? At this point, I was starting to be taken seriously before I go any further with this little Jekyll and Hyde performance. Do we get taken seriously now? With 10 games at 11.
Of course we are. Of course we're being taken seriously. I mean, how can you not be? What is it? Something like is it the last 6 teams that have been top after 10 games?
Yeah, it's since the last team to buck the trend in League One not to get automatic promotion after 10 games was Ipswich in 2019-20. So yeah, there's a big trend there. But just before you move on to Rotherham, I want to mention as well about there was a big point after the Blackpool game because of that 10-game barrier of, judges after 10 games. We've hit that barrier now, and they asked Graham Alexander, what do you think of that? And he obviously came out and said it was bollocks, and just we focus on every game one at a time. We don't ever look ahead and look at the table. It's not important to us. But what was interesting is that they spoke to Sam Walker after the Blackpool match, and they asked him the same question about do you want to be judged after 10 games? And he said, "Yeah, we're in form. We're a team to be feared now." He was much more positive and upspeaking about City's chances of getting out of this league at the first time of asking than Alexander talking about we're just one game ahead. He did say, it's just a start. That's all it is, and we want to improve on it. But he was much more positive, as was McIntyre when he spoke to the media about, how we're playing at the moment. And yeah, we should be judged after 10 games.
Yeah, we should. And do you know what? I don't know whether it's just because I'm a cynical City fan or whatnot, but I'm struggling to fully enjoy the moment of this wave
Yeah,
we're riding, because I'm just waiting for that bubble to burst, and it's not, and it's doing my head in, because
yeah,
because we don't know how we're going to react when we finally do lose that one or two or three in a row or whatever happens. It's going to burst at some point, and I feel like I can't enjoy it properly because I'm waiting for that to come and just. Do you know what I mean?
it's such a strange feeling, and I'm 1,000,000% behind you with this one, and it just feels. I think for me, the word is surreal,
Yeah.
because of we've come into a new league. I said at the beginning of the season, for me, my hope is that we stay up, and now I look back on that and I just think, wow, like there's no question. It's like a different team. It's a different club. I know we've mentioned it, so I don't need to go into it, but it's such a surreal feeling that I think for me, the one was the Cardiff victory, was the one which really did it for me. But still, it just feels really, really strange and kind of getting used to it. But I'm absolutely loving it, and it is incredible. But I am as well waiting for this bubble to burst. But I just hope it doesn't, because I'm just enjoying watching us play at the moment. It's just great to be a City fan.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna go higher than Andy here and say I don't think the bubble is going to burst, in the sense that we're not suddenly going to become a mid-table team. We're not going to hit this
Are we
point
going to
and
be
drop
walls
massively. No, we're not going to do it. No one ever in the history of football will ever repeat what happened last season to them. That was a monumental collapse of ridiculous proportions. No, we're not going to become suddenly a mid-table team. And I was speaking to someone last night at the Rotherham game, and he said playoffs minimum now. That has to be the goal, because, like you say, we're not going to drop off massively. Yeah, we're going to lose, like we did at Doncaster. Yeah, we're going to stumble, like we did against Rotherham. But we're not going to suddenly lose 3 in a row. We before the Rotherham game, we won 3 in a row in the league. We beat Cardiff, Huddersfield, and Blackpool in a row. Like, if you're doing that as a team, you're not suddenly going to lose 3 in a row in this league, I don't think.
Yeah,
Fair comment. Fair comment. It's not a case of whether I think it is going to happen. It's just something that's just in back of your mind. I think it's like I went on to I did Talk Sport the other day, and they had Matt from Rotherham's podcast on there, and the way you were describing everything that's going on at Rotherham right now, it felt so strange, because he was describing exactly what's happened at City over the last few years, and I'm just sat there like, oh, this is what it feels like to be having a well-run club that's doing everything right for a change.
yeah, and I totally get that as well. I look on Twitter and I'll see other clubs, and they're fuming because of how poor they've started the season and everything, and I'm just like, oh, and it's just such a strange thing. I mean, listen, I've supported City for what, 30 years now. And I can't remember a time like this. In fact, there hasn't been a time like this, certainly not after 10 games where we're top of the table. But the other thing I would say to you chaps as well is, and I think at the beginning of the season, I definitely was, but what teams are you scared of? Like, genuinely, what team are you scared of us playing this season?
Anyone in the
Whoever's
bottom
top.
4 will perform poorly.
Burton,
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Any team, like you've already mentioned, that's scrapping for their lives, because we do tend to. I think we've shown already that we're going to struggle against the teams. But you are absolutely right, and I think the phrase I would use at the moment is the club can do no wrong. They're hitting all the right notes and they're doing all the right things. Even the recently the lettering Bradford City AFC got added to the top of the Kop. What a
I love
brilliant, what a brilliant little piece. It's just a fine detail. It's just a few letters at the top of the Kop, but what a difference that makes. How smart does it look? It's brilliant, and just little things like that, little cosmetic changes are happening all over the club at the moment, and they're absolutely brilliant. There's a new mural of Bobby Poynton. Yeah, you're just about to mention that. There's a new mural of Bobby Poynton in the Kop. Before you go up to the upper tier, outside the main turnstiles. Just little things like that the club are implementing that are just teetering us from, oh, it's going well, but, nothing to write home about, to this is all, it's in here, you're feeling it. It's like, oh, we have our club back sort of thing.
Yeah, there's definitely somewhat happening. But we digress. Let's
yeah,
get
that was
on
a huge diversion.
that were a bit of a side quest.
Right, okay, now to be all negative.
Now, it's a bit of negative and a bit of positive from me, right? So, like I said, we get a point on road. You win your own games. It's a sign of going up. I mean, like currently we're 11 games in. We're averaging 2.18 points per game at the moment. Across the season, you keep that up. That's putting you on course for a 100-point season.
Yeah,
amazing. Nothing to moan about, except last night's performance. It was terrible. It was dire. We were fortunate. If the team were anything better than what Rotherham had, then we would have been steamrolled. I thought we were off the pace. I thought we're becoming expectant now of a certain level of performance from a Bradford City team. It's a genuine expectancy rather than we want you to play like this, like it's been in past. But we expect hard press, hard work, getting stuck into those 50-50s. Last night, it didn't really happen, and I thought it was a terrible performance, and we were so lucky to get the 2 goals back. Great, we did. Great, we got the points. Showed good character to get the point, but it wasn't good enough for me. I will livid.
I disagree that we were lucky, because I think, as I said just before we started recording, if that game had finished 5-2, I wouldn't have batted an eyelid, because Swan misses 2 one-on-ones the first half. Patterson's had a really good one saved. There was the Torre free kick as well that was beaten away, and Poynton had the ball in the net for offside. And then in the second half, Pato missed another one-on-one, and then we've had the 2 goals as well. We've had a host of chances, really good chances as well, that we didn't put away. If we were more clinical, we're talking about an easy win, but I agree, it still wouldn't have been a good performance, because we really got sucked into their dirty, slow football at times.
Yeah, and I think, but the one thing that you do know about this Bradford City team is that we will create chances and we will have those opportunities. It doesn't surprise me in the slightest. But I think it's really interesting you mentioned about the 50-50 balls. I don't think we did enough of that yesterday. And that's something that really disappointed me from last night's game, was that we weren't doing that and we were allowing them to kind of run around. There's a little bit too much. I will say, and this is harsh, I think it was probably Josh's worst game in a City shirt so far. Someone put on Twitter, what was it? As somebody replaced Josh Phil with Ben Muirhead.
Yeah, which an amazing throwback. That it's brilliant. Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
So I do feel that, and I thought that we weren't at the races last night, but we rescued the point. We got a point out of it. We don't like going in the league to the New York Stadium. We never do. We always seem to have absolute stinkers. I've seen us being beaten that many times there. I could never, I can't even mention.
Well, I've been there. I've been there 4 times in League and Cup, and up till last night, I'd never seen a score there, let alone win. I think 3-0 loss, a 2-0 loss, a draw, and a 0-0 draw, and a 1-0 loss, I think, or something like that. Never seen us win or even score there. Cursed ground.
Is that 3-0 one where Evans was giving us the fingers?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, possibly. It's just like I say, it has never been a happy ground for us, unfortunately.
And it doesn't help for me. I used to live in Rotherham, so I lived there for 2 years. So I know quite a lot of Rotherham fans as well. So over the years since I've lived there, we've just had a terrible run against them. But I think that also the one thing I will say, I think they're a very poor team, by the way. To say, they've kind of yo-yoed between Championship and League One over the last few years. They're a poor team. I would not be surprised if they go down this year.
They are a poor team, but I'll tell you what, I liked Martha.
Yeah.
Martha stood out for them. I thought he were quality. He ran rings round us. If any of their players deserve to be in a better team situation, it's him. He were a quality player last night.
Yeah, it's just such a bizarre game. Another player I wanted to give a shout out now, who I'm finding the name. It was their number 18 centre back, who I thought had a brilliant game until Andy Cook came on, and then Andy Cook put him in his place. Because the game was screaming for some physicality up top. We were getting chances over the top, definitely. That's where we were threatening them with those sort of long balls down the channel. Swan had his two chances from that. There was the Sarcevic foul as well, which will come on to the red card possibly. And then, but as soon as the second half started, we needed to change it. We needed to go physical. And once Cook came on, it was a completely different game. That centre back was troubled, definitely, by Cook coming on. I mean, just looking at the equaliser, the work that Cook puts in because he starts behind him. He's not even goal side, and he muscles his way back in front of him and onto the ball, and then gives it across to Pato for the goal. It's really impressive work rate from him, but that physicality was needed from minute one, I think, actually, tonight.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think these more scrappy games don't suit you, Will Swans. You need that bit of strength. To be fair, I'd have probably hooked Josh off for Halliday.
I mean, we keep saying, oh, it was his worst performance. He did bag himself an assist. We cannot forget.
Oh
that.
yeah,
like that, and that's the ridiculous thing is that he has a troubled game like that where he doesn't really get a chance to take someone on one, and he's a bit out of the game, and then he just puts in a cross, and there's an assist, and suddenly his ratings bumped up again. And again, kind of like how City play at the moment. We struggle sometimes, but you can never count us out, and we will get ourselves over the line if we can.
I think this is it, isn't it? Though this is our new levels of expectancy. Are we over expecting now? Because at the end of the day, it's still League One. Players are at this level for a reason. They're not the top of the top. They're not the lowest of the low. So can you expect consistency all the time? But because of the way City have started the season and where the ethos in which they've gone into every game. Last night, it made it so much more noticeable that they were off it because of the intensity that we've been going into games. And I think that's why me personally is so disappointed with last night's performance. The result, I'll take the result all day long. You take a point from home all day long. Should have been a win, but hey, we take your point. But yeah, I think that's why I'm so annoyed at the performance rail. We've just become I've come to expect
I think we all have, haven't we, though? But I think we all have. I think we've all become that expectancy because we've done it on a regular basis where we thought one game might be a one-off and we've kind of just carried on with that. But I think if we look at the fact that we've just got a draw away from home at Rotherham and we're disappointed. And I know that you're saying it's more about with the performance, but the levels are changing already. The levels are changing in what we're expecting as City fans now. And there are going to be games that are going to be very similar to that. But what I also want to mention as well is that we did come back. When we went 2-0 down, we didn't give up. And to be fair, if we'd have come out of that and we would have won that 3-2, I certainly wouldn't have complained. I certainly wouldn't have felt I think it was possible. I felt that we could probably, after the second one, that we could have gone on and got the third. And again, that speaks massive volumes about this team. We didn't give up. Cookie coming on, I felt changed a lot.
Yeah.
And I do want to mention this, by the way, because this has been a massive conversation for City fans for so long, which is, and I think you know what's coming. Does Andy Cook fit in this squad? The answer is absolutely.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, he does. I was concerned. I'll
Yep.
hold my hand up. I was one of the first to be concerned about whether Cook fits into this style of play, but he's a perfect man for games like last night where you need that strength up top. So I hold my hands up. He does fit in this squad. He's definitely got a part to play for us this season.
Yep. And I'll hold my hand up as well because I was right. For once, on the right side of a debate. Moving, one player I do want to talk about as well is Lee. He had a poor performance by his high standards this season against Blackpool. He just looked a yard off it, and his long range passing, which is usually so consistent and top of the class, looked really poor. And he got hooked, and there was a whole kick in a water bottle incident, and a bit of a apparent bust up with Graham Alexander that was quickly debunked. But he had another poor game, I thought, against Rotherham. He just, someone pointed out, I think under the half-time post on Twitter, I can't remember where it was, but Lee just wants to do it all himself sometimes, which can be a bit of an issue if, he wants to say, give me the ball, and then try play it long and it doesn't work. I also think that when he has a bad game, we get bypassed completely in midfield, especially the first goal for Rotherham. They just cut through us far too easily. One spin and suddenly there's oceans of space, and it leads to an easy goal.
I think what's really, really, I'm going to say something that's really harsh as well, is that I think when you look at the first goal against Newcastle, if we're going back that far, that I do think that a lot of that was Tommy Lee losing the ball, not tracking his man, leaving his man, and then they scored the goal. And if you see it from the behind the goal angle, you can see how annoyed he is with himself because he's done that. My concern at times with Lee at the moment is that he's doing that a little bit too much. I don't quite know what's going on with him at the moment, and I feel a bit harsh knocking him, and I'm certainly not knocking him, but we're not seeing in the last 3 games, we haven't seen that Tommy Lee that we're used to, and hopefully we could get it back. I don't have a problem, by the way, with the kicking the bottle. I genuinely do not have a problem with that. For me, I think if a player does that after they've come off and they've had a stinker, I think that speaks volumes. If he'd have just gone and sat down, I'm not saying that they don't care, but I think the fact that he did that and he was quite angry shows how passionate he is about performing well. It's not just a paycheck for him. He does want to play well for this football team, and I genuinely don't mind a bit of that. That for me just speaks about his character and how much he wants it.
Yeah, and it was debunked immediately after the game by Graham Alexander. Like, he was asked about it, and he said, "Well, there was a bust up because he kicked a water bottle," and I asked him what was wrong, and he said, "Oh, I played really poorly." And Alexander went, "Okay." And that's the end of the issue. Like you say, there was nothing really there to be further examined. He did have a poor game. He did probably deserve to be hooked. And he knew that, and that's good, because he knows that he needs to be better. He'll probably know after that Rotherham game he needs to be better as well. Especially because I thought when Jensen Metcalfe came on, he was really, really good, as he has been every time I think we've seen him this season. Do you think, I probably wouldn't have started him against Rotherham, but do you think he's starting to get to that point where he is owed more game time?
I think Metcalfe is probably due a start. I think Lee's issue last night was he were asked to play the power position.
Yeah, exactly.
And he tried to be too much power. Do you know what I mean? He tried to emulate. He tried to emulate Max far too much. And it's. I think that would partially his downfall. Don't get me wrong. I do feel like his performances have dropped off slightly. I've got a lot of time for Lee this season. I know last season no one could stand him, me included. But I've got so much time for the boy this season. He's a totally different player, and I've sung his praises. And his performances have dropped a little bit recently, but last night I do think that he was asked to play the sort of like the power position and tried to be too much like Power, and rather than playing his own style for that position, if that makes sense. So I think that were a contributor. But going back to Metcalf, 100%. I think the boy deserves a start coming up soon.
Yeah, I'm likewise as well. I think that he doesn't disappoint, does he, when he comes on? I mean, he had a pretty poor free kick. I remember in the second half that went pretty much, I think, straight went over the wall and straight into it for a goal kick. But that's being a bit nitpicking, to be honest with you. But yeah, I think that's good, and maybe that's where Tommy's kind of starting to see that as well, and he's starting to realise as well that actually, even though he's had a great start to the season, that his position is not impeachable. Which, to be honest with you, I think that every player could probably say that at the moment.
What about Tyreek Wright?
Yeah, well, Tyreek,
he seems to start every game.
I
yeah,
don't know how.
I think
I think
I'll tell you why. It's because
it's
we've got
true
no
injury.
centre backs. Yeah, it's 'cause we've
It's
got no
purely
players,
injury
yeah.
based.
Yeah.
But I've got
No,
nothing
it's
to
pointless like saying, "Oh, Tyreek Wright had a poor game against Rotherham," because everyone had a below par game. Even your goal scorers, Patter and Sars, weren't fantastic. It was just, like you say, a below par performance. But the advantage is now we do get a nice long break to kind of reset ourselves with the Lincoln postponement. And
yeah,
it could come at a good time, I think, for us.
yeah, and also we might get some defenders back as well. You know, the amount of times, the amount of injuries that we've got to our defence, and I do want to mention very quickly, I think Pennington was massively missed last night.
Yeah, I think he goes under the radar so much as one of our best centre backs. He's really calm and he goes about his business easily. He is really good. I'm still not convinced on Neil Byrne. I thought he had a very for the standard that they were playing. I thought he had a really good game against Newcastle, especially being dropped in the deep end with that. But I think he was poor. He was played at right centre back against Rotherham, which isn't his ideal position. I think he'd much rather be in the centre of a back five. But again, we're just lacking that feet on the ground players in positions for centre back, especially out wide now with both Tilt and Baldwin out. But hopefully we might see Joe Wright play that position at some point, and Pennington also being available could be quite good as well for the next game in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, so does going on to the Lincoln postponement, good or bad? Is it some? I personally think that we've looked quite leggy for the last couple of the games. So I don't. I hate the fact that it's been postponed for international call-ups, especially considering that the 3 Lincoln players or 4 Lincoln players, however many it is, barely get a start between them anyway. So they're not. It don't make a blind bit of difference to their match day team anyway. But I think we need the break. I think we need to just have a bit of a recharge.
Yeah, I think everyone's disappointed because of the obviously the historical context of the game. Obviously, we haven't played Lincoln in the league in quite a few years now. It would have been really nice to have that on a Saturday. And I think knowing now that it's going to be on a Tuesday night, especially could be a Tuesday night in November probably, it's going to be cold and miserable. And it would have been nice to actually have it during the day when we still got a bit of light, just for the atmosphere of the fixture. But I am in absolute agreement with you. I think we have looked leggy. I think our performances in the last sort of 2 games, especially, have looked a little lackluster. Maybe it's just the teams we've come up against who are, fighting at the bottom. They're going to play quite a defensive style of football and be tough to break down. Play like we do, hit us on the counter attack. You'd never know, but I think a break is really good, especially to ground the players as well. Just say, okay, we've had a really good start. We've had a really nice cup run, and we want to enjoy that and reap the rewards of that. But now let's knuckle down. This is the core of the season where you do start playing your gritty fixtures in horrible weather, and that's the time to really lock in and see what we can do.
See, I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna say that actually I feel that because of where we are in the league at the moment, and okay, we weren't great against Blackpool. We weren't great last night, but I feel that actually we need to keep playing. I think we need that consistency, and I feel that this might actually hinder us. The break might genuinely hinder us. I think I would prefer that we carry on playing and that we are able to play those games. Going back on like the kind of Lincoln calling off the international as well. Everyone does it. Do you know what I mean? It's not just a Lincoln thing. It is kind of the thing that is done. So I don't think that there's anything in that. Plus, listen, we obviously like and have a massive affiliation with Lincoln. It is devastating, to be honest with you, that it's not going to be on that Saturday. But yeah, I don't think there's anything that it is just what it is. But yeah, like I said, I would rather that we were still consistently playing.
Yeah.
I think we need the break. I mean, are we likely to be getting anyone back from injury? Do we think? Is there anybody that's going to be back in that team after this couple of weeks off? Because I say it's a couple of weeks off. It's the Tuesday after we've got Everton under 21s, haven't we? So it's not like 2 full weeks off. We've got Mickey Mouse Trophy. But are we expecting anyone back? Do we know of? Have we heard out on Grapevine?
Well, Pennington definitely will be back. He was late concussion diagnosis, wasn't he, that kept him out of the Rotherham game. So he definitely will be back for Barnsley on the 18th. And Joe Wright has been out of the team, so I imagine he might be given the Tuesday night game against Everton as a warm-up of, okay, well, you're going to be back in the team against Barnsley. But again, we shall see. Baldwin, I think, is going to be just a little later, isn't he? I think we were talking 3 or 4 weeks, possibly. Yeah, so we'll see about that.
Until it's long term.
Until it's long term, yeah.
I'm so gutted about that
gutted as well,
because everyone moaned about that boy coming in, and I were one of them as well. Didn't know much about him, but I sort of jumped on bandwagon as you do. But he's been a revelation at the back this season, and it's a massive miss that he's out at the moment.
Yeah, huge. He's just such a spearhead and such a figure, and just winds up the opposition forwards, which is exactly what you want in this league. And yeah, he is. And I bumped into him in Blackpool. Should I say that? Well, I'd be in hospital if I bumped into him, to be honest with you. But I did get a quick picture with him before the game, and he mentioned that he's at least a month away. So yeah. We'll see what happens with that, but hopefully we can get a few defenders back, a few players back. So I suppose that is the positive out of having this little mini break. But like I say, I think I would rather that we were playing still.
They might have a game behind closed doors. Well, they probably will do. They'll
on that Saturday slot. Yeah,
they'll do summer. They're not going to be sat at home twiddling thumbs, are they?
I hope not. Anyway.
Right, just as a last question before we tie up, just want to talk about something that we've kind of alluded to already. But do you think that Bradford City have given a bit too much respect to some of the teams we've played lower down the table? So if you look at the teams that we've beaten in the top 8, we've beaten all of Stockport, Luton, Wimbledon, Huddersfield and Cardiff, with Stevenage and Lincoln still to play in the coming weeks. And then if you look at the bottom 8, we failed to beat Peterborough. We got the win against Blackpool, but we didn't beat Northampton, and we struggled as well against Rotherham. Is it an issue of not giving too much respect almost to these teams at the bottom compared to the teams at the top?
I don't know. I feel like this is kind of like where we were discussing about our away form before the Cardiff win again, where we were kind of nitpicking. I get where you're coming from, and it's like I mentioned earlier on. I think it's maybe that actually those teams maybe give us a little bit more respect. I mean, then again, I say that, but Rotherham probably didn't really give us that much respect last night. But I don't know. I really don't know. I think again, it just comes down to the way the teams are playing. Maybe, and I do worry about that. Whether other teams will kind of develop that and will start to play us in that style, rather than just thinking it's Bradford City that the bubble's going to burst in this next game. Which I'm just hoping that every team does that from to the end of the season. But I think that maybe they are just a little bit more wary of our attacking prowess. We are the top goal scorers in this league. We might have conceded quite a few as well, but we are top goal scorers in this league, and I think that that there's a reason for that, and maybe these teams are just. I mean, would we be really having this conversation if we had the chance? I can't remember who it was. Was it who missed the chance against Northampton where it should have gone in? It wasn't Byrne, was it?
No,
Can't remember
it
where
was a big scramble. I think was it possibly Sarcevic who
it was. I
hit it.
think
I
it
can't
might be. Was
remember.
it Tilt? Maybe I think it might have been Tilt.
No, Tilt tried a bicycle kick. I remember that.
He did try, yeah.
The whole
Yeah.
ground shook when he landed.
The
And then whoever that was anyway, but you look at kind of like Peterborough as well. We were winning until the last minute. So would we be having this conversation if those goals had gone in? I'm not too sure.
I don't think it's a case of respect as we're showing too much respect to the smaller teams, quote unquote, or them giving us too much respect. I think it is exactly like Chris says, and we alluded to earlier, of these teams that we're struggling against are the teams that play like us. And I don't think that's through us giving them respect. It's just we're cancelling each other out. You put two teams with the same sort of formation up, with the same ideology and same tactical vision. It's just got to cancel out. It's Newton's third law, isn't it? You know what I mean? So I don't think it is a case of too much respect at this moment in time. If we gave teams too much respect, I think we'd have been beaten worse by the likes of Newcastle because we'd have cowered in a corner. And if we were in the business of giving respect to teams.
And I'll ask you then, do you think it's that when we play these teams, do you think that it's that we are overly confident?
I think personally, we maybe don't stamp our footprint on games enough. We get sucked into their sort of games. It kind of happened at Northampton where we got sucked into quite a scrappy game, and then at Peterborough, I don't think we got forward enough to really warrant. They had a really bad reputation coming into the game of being picked off by the press, and I don't think we really pressed them until we got that goal from pressing them. And then, against Rotherham, I just thought they obviously came out to play the dark arts. Their multiple of their players got booked for time wasting. Every throw in took at least 20 seconds, and it was really frustrating from the stands. So God knows how bad it would be on the pitch. But it's the case of, I think, getting sucked into how our opponents want to play the game, because Rotherham didn't really want to come and hit us all the time with attacks and things like that. They just wanted to sit behind the ball and pick us off on the break, and we got sucked into that a bit, I think. And we need to stamp our style on games better, I think.
I think that's exactly what we do, though, isn't it? We pick the ball off them and hammer them on a break. That's our game. So that's what I'm saying is cancelling each other out, isn't it? Because that is our style. Let's be fair. We don't play expansive possession-based football. We go in, hit you hard on press, and go and get you on a counter attack, quick goals. That's how we play it. So, and that's exactly how Rotherham were trying to play last night as well, and it just cancels it out. I think that's where the issue is.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. And listen, I love the fact that we are trying to pick out negatives. You know, we're top of League One at the moment, boys, and hopefully, fingers crossed, whatever happens this weekend, we're still there. But I think, listen, I think just like embrace it and enjoy it because this season has been absolutely mint.
It has been.
Yeah, it's been such a good start, hasn't it? And hopefully it does continue. Obviously, the signs do point that way. Like I say, we're not going to plummet now. I don't think we will be up there. And like you said, Chris, there's no team we should be fearing in this league. Really,
No.
we should be going out there to try and win every game. We shouldn't be cowering, like you said. All signs are positive, and Alexander knows that as well. And I think the players know that they want to continue this run of form.
Yeah, we're agreeing. We're doing that agreeing thing, aren't we? Um,
How
I
can
don't.
we not? How can we not at the
It
moment,
it
mate?
makes it a bit boring, though, isn't it? It's proper boring.
Yeah, but listen, why not? Do you know what? Listen, if the worst thing that we've got to whinge about is a draw away from home, which is what we need to do, we need to get those draws away from home. If that is what we're going to sulk about, fine.
Yeah, coming from two down as well, you can't
Yeah.
knock that at
It,
all.
no, you can't. You can't not come in from two down, regardless of who it's against and how poorly you're playing. It's great. But before we wrap up, it's the start of a new month. We've now only got 3 games in the league this month. How many points are you expecting? We've got Barnsley away. We've got
No, Barnsley
Stevenage.
at home. Barnsley at home.
No, Barnsley at home. Sorry, Stevenage away, and Burton at home. How many points?
9 points.
Is that expectant, or is that what you feel we should be like? What's the bare minimum you'd be happy taking from that?
I mean, if I was being negative, I'd say 4, but I'm going to say 6, because I do not think there's a reason why we can't put Barnsley to the sword like we did against Huddersfield. In a big Yorkshire derby, just hit them where it hurts. Momentum behind us. It's going to be another big crowd. The only one that really troubles me, I think, will be Stevenage away with the form that they're in, obviously, right up the top end of the table. Burton at home, obviously, could be a banana skin. They've beaten Cardiff recently away from home, so we've got to watch out for them.
Burton's one that scares me the most.
Yeah.
I think realistically, I would love to have 6 points, but then again, I also would be gutted if we lose one of those. So, but Stevenage, completely agree. Listen, if they are to win their games in hand, they do go above us. They just don't. They're very similar to us this season, which they have done well in the last couple of 2 or 3 years in League One. They just don't seem to go away. And yeah, that's going to be a really, really big game for us. And but again, it's not a team I fear.
See, you look at the league, right? And you've got us, Wimbledon. I mean, Port Vale, the mid-table. We all came up. You got Donny, top end. Like, is it a poor League One season? Is it a poor division this season, or are we just surpassing? Are we just good, or is the division as a whole quite a poor League One? Because I've heard murmurings going round that this season the quality of the division's poor.
Do you know what? I don't know if I want to get in there. I mean, the other side of it is if you look at the 2 bottom teams in League Two, that again are the two teams that came down from League One. If you look at this previous season in League Two, the 2 teams that went down were from League One. Whether that correlates, I don't know. Whether that's just a random fact, I don't know. But did I expect a little bit more? Yeah, I think I did expect a little bit more.
I don't think I'm going to go the other way and say that I don't think it's weak. I actually think it's the gap is getting smaller. I think this is a strong League One, but that's because League Two is getting equally strong as well. I think if you look at the teams that come up, especially, they are all so different almost in the style of football they play. I've no idea what style Port Vale play, but Donny are a good footballing side. We are a good footballing side, and Wimbledon are a really, really firm opponent. You know, they really troubled us at home this season, and we were probably really lucky to get that 3-2, although we did play really well, as did they, though. But if you notice, this is the funny thing, if you notice the people who are saying, oh, this is a really weak League One, it's the fans of Cardiff, Luton, it's all the teams that are floundering at the moment. Well, not floundering, but, you know, they're expected to run away with the league. If you're losing to Burton Albion, I cannot abide that. That's going to come back to bite me when we lose at home in a few weeks. But no, if it's those sets of fans that are sort of saying, "Oh, it is a weak league," but they're the ones that are being beaten by sides like us. So I think you've got to take everything with a pinch of salt. Is it weak or is it a level playing field? And I think it's a level playing field.
That's fair. That's a fair comment. I just wondered, to be fair, because, like I say, you've been hearing a lot of these murmurings going on, and you're quite right. It is from these big, so-called big sides that are a bit upset that they're down in League One for whatever reason. But we digress, boys. It's been an absolute pleasure to catch up with you both again. It's been too long. We're hopefully going to make sure our schedules align and bring this a bit more regularly to you all. So from me, Chris, and Ewan, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for listening. Subscribe if you haven't, and we'll catch you later for the next one.